Have you ever tried to learn a high-level, complex skill, like writing code or speaking a new language, and hit an absolute plateau? It feels as though you've reached the literal limit of your potential. At this point, most of us fall back on a default explanation that we simply aren't smart enough, or that we lack the natural talent required to succeed. But the idea that your intelligence is a fixed, unchangeable value is a myth. Your mind is actually incredibly malleable. This is due to neuroplasticity, the brain's physical ability to grow new connections between neurons in different areas of the brain over time. We see the physical proof of this in London taxi drivers. To earn their license, they must memorize the city's entire labyrinthine map, a feat of navigation known simply as the knowledge. When researchers scanned their brains, they found these drivers had significantly more gray matter in their hippocampus than the average person. Furthermore, the longer a subject had been driving, the larger that specific region of the brain became. The hippocampus physically expanded to accommodate the massive cognitive load of the city's streets. It demonstrates that our brain structure is a direct reflection of the challenges we force it to solve, rather than a fixed boundary we are born with. If our brains are physically designed to grow and adapt to any challenge, why do we constantly feel stuck? Consider a young elephant chained to a small stake in the ground. As it grows into a powerful adult, it could easily rip that flimsy peg out of the dirt to be free. But it has been conditioned to believe the stake is unbreakable, so it never even tries to pull away. This learned helplessness acts as an invisible restraint, keeping us tethered to our current limitations even when our biological hardware is ready to expand. This restraint is driven by the ego, which builds psychological walls to protect us from the discomfort of change. Accepting new, contradictory information is physically and mentally draining. To save energy, the brain often takes the easier route, rejecting what threatens our current beliefs. We call this confirmation bias. It is a cognitive trap where we actively ignore evidence that challenges us to maintain a sense of being always correct. This bias forces your brain to deflect any new information that contradicts your existing identity. Over time, your perspective narrows until you are unable to see the solution right in front of you. Approaching a subject believing you already know the answers acts as a barrier, effectively paralyzing the brain's ability to forge new neuronal connections. The ego also uses social pressure to keep these walls in place. This is known as the spotlight effect, the illusion that other people are observing and judging your every move much more than they actually are. This fear of looking foolish prevents the raw, messy practice required to master a skill. We become so terrified of failing in public that we stop attempting anything new. When your inner critic claims you are too old or not smart enough, it is not stating a concrete fact. It is offering an opinion designed to protect you from the pain of effort. Rapid learning requires a deliberate override. You must temporarily forget what you think you know and approach the subject with an open, beginner's mind. You can weaken your inner critic by giving it a ridiculous name or persona, like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. When that voice predicts failure, mocking its negativity strips away its authority over your actions. Once the critic is silenced, you can begin subconscious reprogramming with I am statements. By telling yourself, I am an efficient learner, you signal to your brain to manifest that new identity into reality. Stripping away the ego's authority is the necessary first step. Without this shift in mindset, the biological process of learning cannot begin. Learning is state-dependent, meaning your physical and emotional condition determines how much data you retain. If you sit slumped over, your restricted breathing and posture signal to your brain that it's time to rest, making you feel tired before you've even started. To move information into long-term memory, you must be active. This means taking notes and anchoring dry data to bizarre, emotionally charged visualizations. When you combine information with action and humor, you force the brain to prioritize that data for permanent storage. To reach this level of retention, you must protect your focus. Clear your digital distractions to allow for a ramp-up period of at least 15 minutes, as you won't hit peak concentration until 45 minutes into a session. When you sit down to work, remember, the friction you feel isn't a sign of failure. It is the physical sensation of your brain rewiring itself to meet a new challenge.